I requested emails from the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office through the Freedom of Information Act. I went through each document to see how this case has advanced and if there's answers to many public comments. One of those reoccurring comments, did the Sheriff's Office know of Perry's volunteer work prior to this investigation? Sheriff Carter Weaver made clear in the press conference last month and in writing that he had not known of Perry's volunteer work at the church. According to an email, Perry reaches out to a sergeant saying, quote, "The church yesterday registered the red Dodge Dakota to them, so it's no longer a vehicle that I have." He goes on to say, "Have a good day and an even better holiday season." I reached out to the sheriff's office on the timeline of this email, and I'm still waiting for a response. Another popular question, what role did Perry's financial advisor play? Well, it's referenced that the sheriff's office did interview his financial advisor. They say he, quote, advised that he served only as Perry's financial advisor and attended the church. They go on to say, current statements indicate rumors of Perry's involvement with the new building are unfounded and are corroborated by donation lists acquired during Sunday's search warrant. They say, we were advised Perry has a sum of money from his prior work and 401k, but is not in the realm to facilitate large levels of investment. One thing that jumped out in 2022, the sheriff's office was tasked with doing a threat and vulnerability assessment on the church's security. This was for a nonprofit security grant program from SLED. The office determined after reviewing paperwork and a walkthrough, they believed they were doing a, quote, great job and did not see any need to change what has been done.
What? Come on, bitch. What? G-Code, huh? G-Code, huh? I ain't no pussy ass nigga. You understand? I'm a rapper, but I'm still a gorilla. You understand? Feel like the full of Manila. You understand? You gon' make me have to kill me a nigga. You understand? I'm gonna be up for a minute, little boy. You understand? Ain't about to let nobody go. You understand? I don't need to play hating on you. You understand? Don't be talking about what you gonna do me. You understand? Ride every day of the week. You understand? Get your issue when you're playing with me. You understand? I'll find out the spot that you sleep. You understand? With my nigga from the block and
welcome into my, I don't know what we calling it, but we here today, and I am so glad that you are here. A lot of things I want to talk to you about. Before we get into all of that, I'm going to need one of you. Let's see what we got going on here. Hit that like button. And let me know if you can hear me clearly. I think you can. And if not, then you guys are going to miss out on something because I'm not going to go back over it. But there is something going on in Georgetown County. Let's just say the fact that nothing's going on in Georgetown County is evidence that something could possibly be, allegedly might be. I don't know. I tripped. I lost my mind. Just noticing. I know it's still, I think it's still legal to think. And so I'm engaging in a little bit of that, and I would love for you to follow me down this rabbit hole. Back again to talk about the situation going on in Pawleys Island, South Carolina, because apparently the local news has gone silent on that. Again, I guess he said, F those kids and what they got going on, but nevertheless, we are here to that could be, don't know. I just want to know some things. But what I want to do today, I want to do something different with this Pawleys Island situation. Okay. I want to do something different, and I want you all to hear me out. I don't want you to take my word for nothing that I'm about to talk about to say here. I don't want you to jump to any conclusions, and I don't want anybody accusing anybody of something that the evidence does not or doesn't prove, okay? I want you guys to be clear, and I want you to be to understand that, okay? Because somewhere, I just want to follow the timeline is what I want to do. And I want us to do that together, right? And we're going to break this thing down and we're going to go through. You see the graphic on the board, right? And we're talking about the Pawleys Island situation because Gab News isn't, right? Shout out to Live 5 News for breaking that story right there. And again, we're looking into it. And so, again, I don't want anybody accusing anybody of something that the evidence doesn't prove. Okay. I want you to follow the dates because somewhere in the timeline, uh, may be the answer to one of the biggest questions surrounding this entire situation. Who knew what and when did they know it? Okay, let's start with what we know. In August 2020, Warren Perry was charged by Georgetown County Sheriff's Office with 2 counts of third-degree sexual exploitation of a minor. Remember that date, okay? It's going to come back up again on a test. Remember that date. And that date is, write it down, August 2020. All right. I'm being serious. Somebody write this down because I need some help with this. All right. I need some help. Y'all want to answer? Somebody reach out to somebody in Pawleys Island and let them know, hey, what's going on here? Share it to somebody in Pawleys Island and one of those Pawleys Islands group. And let's see, can we get the answers that obviously the people have? But Gab News is going silent on this whole thing. But anyway, let's go. August 2020. Then on November 2023, Perry pled guilty, and the Perry we're talking about is Warren Perry again. He pled guilty to 1 count of sexual exploitation of a minor. He received a 10-year sentence, suspended to 5 years probation. And one of the conditions of that probation was that he was not to have any contact with minors. Now, I want y'all to pay close attention to what happens. Okay? I want you to pay very close attention to what happens next. December 12th, 2023. That's only weeks after Perry's conviction, according to the Georgetown County's their own records and their own explanation of the record release through the Freedom of Information that was obtained by Live 5 News. Okay? Weeks after he was convicted, December 12th, 2023, Perry called a sergeant with the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office. Why did he call him? He called him to tell him that he was transferring ownership of his Dodge Dakota to the church. And I'm only dropping the bombs just as point of a point of emphasis, right? So I want you to just keep track of what I'm saying. After Perry contacted the sergeant about the Dodge Dakota, that he was transferring ownership of the Dodge Dakota over to the church. The sergeant instructed Perry to put that information in writing so the vehicle could be removed from his registered sex offender file. Now, I need to be very clear that that communication does not prove that the sheriff's office knew Perry was working at the church. Let me read that again for all of you just coming in. December 13th, 2023, Perry sent that email to a sergeant. Let me get that. Let me get that. Let me be clear here. Okay. We got a timeline we building here. Now, again, pay very close attention to what happens after December 12th, 2023. That's only weeks after Perry's conviction. Keep that in mind. According to the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office own explanation of records released through the FOIA, Perry called a sergeant with the sheriff's office. Why did he call the sergeant? He told her, he told her that he was transferring ownership of his Dodge Dakota to the church. The sergeant instructed Perry to put that information in writing so the vehicle could be removed from his sex offender file. And on December 13th, 2023, Perry sent that email, okay, saying that he donated that to the church. Now, again, I want to be clear here that that communication does not prove that the sheriff's office knew Warren Perry was working at the church. The sheriff's office says that this was simple. This was as simple as an administrative update to Perry's sex offender registry information. And guess what? Guess what, y'all? I accept that explanation for what it says. But I still have questions because now we know something important. When that communication occurred with Warren Perry, he wasn't merely somebody being accused of a sexual offense. He was a convicted felon. Okay, he had already been convicted. He was already subject to probation. The conditions of his probations, I should say. And as I said earlier, one of the conditions of his probation was that he was not to be in contact with minors. And the communication itself concerned property being transferred from the church. Again, that doesn't prove that the sheriff's office knew he was working there. But it establishes a date. And guess what? Dates matter. And now there's another date that we need to talk about. And I need you to pay attention because I need somebody to help me nail this down, especially somebody from the Pawleys Island area, because you guys can fill in a lot of blanks that I got with questions that I have about this particular situation. We've heard reporting concerning a security assessment. You heard the lady say and the thing about a walkthrough that they did back in 2022. Okay. For SLED with a nonprofit security grant initiative or something like that. I want the exact date that that walkthrough took place, not approximately. I need somebody from inside that church, not approximately, not it happened about this time. I need the exact date in 2022 that it was that this walkthrough report, whatever it was, happened. I need to know the exact date. I need to know when it happened. Um, the date was in 2022, and as I believe again that was reported in that report. If it happened later in the timeline, I just need to be able to understand that what happened there. What all did they investigate? What were they said the findings was everything was perfect. Was Perry a member of the church in at that when that walkthrough happened? You know, Perry's November 2023 conviction that would that filling in that part of the timeline would give some context to that 2023 conviction and whether or not he was around that church or not. And I want to know what happened during the assessment, who did it, you know, um, because there's a lot of questions that I know those people over in Pawleys Island. I don't have the reach of a Gab News, but Gab News don't have the heart of Andrews the podcast. Yeah, what happened during the walkthrough before Perry's November 2023 conviction? If it happened after his conviction, that raises, a whole nother set of questions. I mean, I know it happened after, but was he there? It's just a lot of questions that's just got to be answered. August 2020, Perry is charged. Let's go over this timeline here. One more good time here. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna take a quick break and then we're gonna go over this timeline. How about that? Yeah, we're gonna take a quick break and then we'll come back with reviewing this timeline. Don't know why Scott don't talk more about this story here, man.
Labor Day weekend is about to come alive here at the Williams Vineyard and Farm in the Neesmith Corner section of Neesmith, South Carolina. Join us on Thursday night, September 3rd at 5 o'clock p.m. for an overnight Open pit barbecue, the way we used to do it here at the farm and in the country here years ago. On Friday night, starting at 5 o'clock p.m., we'll have a wine tasting, muscadine of course, and at 6:30, from 6:30 to 8:30, Joe McGill of the Slave Dwelling Project, conversations around the campfire. Saturday, September 5th, is the SC 250 Indigo Festival here at the Williams Vineyard and Farm. You must come. Indigo was one of the cash crops during the Revolutionary era. In fact, Williamsburg County was the #1 producer of indigo. Bring your family, bring your friends, bring your neighbors, and come and join us. Bring your lawn chairs too, so you can sit and enjoy the views of the vineyard, enjoy the fresh air, and the interactions with the community people as well.
All right, so let's go through this real fast. August 2020, Perry is charged. November 2023, Perry is convicted. December 12th, 2023, Perry contacted the sheriff's office concerning a vehicle being transferred to the church. And if any of you have any more context or any more information on that, I'd love to hear it. Vehicle being transferred to this church. December 13th, he put it in writing for his sex offender registry records. Okay, now that gives us now what we need for exact, for timeline purposes is we need the exact date of that security walkthrough. Give us the dates of every relevant inspection. Give us the dates of every relevant communication that you had with the church. Put it all on the timeline. Put it on your page, because I'm sure right now the sheriff is sitting kind of scrambling, trying to figure out, what he should do. You should just go balls to the walls, full transparency, because they trying to paint you as a and not you particularly. Now, just let's be clear on that, because what I'm saying is that you're the leader of that sheriff, of that Georgetown County Sheriff's Department. You're the face of it. At least you're the face of it when you're making these big busts. You're not the face of it when it comes to reporting these people passing out fentanyl and thing. And it looks like one of those situations where he may try to pass the buck. Downhill, shit rolls downhill. And so somebody's going to have to answer for this, because this thing is coming. It's becoming very clear, quite clear, I should say, that there was communication with this man after he was convicted. And there was no question about whether or not, I mean, just good police work would suggest that, okay, this guy's calling you to donate a vehicle to the church to take it off his sex offender registry. How many times has this happened? And officers just whatever playing Candy Crush or whatever at the time doesn't think that, whoa, at the church, what is your affiliation with the church? With that church, churches usually contain children. The good ones do. The other ones are just dying away, aging out. Yeah, give us those dates, Sheriff, PAO officer. Because at this point right now, it's all about who know what when. And you stated hard and fast that The sheriff office had no communication with this man, and that FOIA request is starting to look. That's starting to tell a different story. Starting to tell a whole different story. Check this out.
Get ready, Andrews. The Andrews Heritage Festival is coming October 31st. A day filled with community, culture, and celebration is on the way. Big energy, great people, and unforgettable moments. Save the date now and get ready.
All right, yeah. They're killing me over here. I'm talking about Facebook. But yeah, we'll be back with this story. They trying to bury it from y'all. And y'all, I'm talking about Georgetown County. They trying their best to bury this story. But this lady bring up some really interesting questions.
I requested emails from the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office through the Freedom of Information Act. I went through each document to see how this case has advanced and if there's answers to many public comments. One of those reoccurring comments, did the Sheriff's Office know of Perry's volunteer work prior to this investigation? Sheriff Carter Weaver made clear in the press conference last month and in writing that he had not known of Perry's volunteer work at the church. According to an email, Perry reaches out to a sergeant saying, quote, "The church yesterday registered the red Dodge Dakota to them, so it's no longer a vehicle that I have." He goes on to say, "Have a good day and an even better holiday season." I reached out to the sheriff's office on the timeline of this email, and I'm still waiting for a response. Another popular question, what role did Perry's financial advisor play? Well, it's referenced that the sheriff's office did interview his financial advisor. They say he, quote, advised that he served only as Perry's financial advisor and attended the church. They go on to say, current statements indicate rumors of Perry's involvement with the new building are unfounded and are corroborated by donation lists acquired during Sunday's search warrant. They say, we were advised Perry has a sum of money from his prior work and 401k, but is not in the realm to facilitate large levels of investment. One thing that jumped out, in 2022, the sheriff's office was tasked with doing a threat and vulnerability assessment on the church's security. This was for a nonprofit security grant program from SLED. The office determined after reviewing paperwork and a walkthrough, they believed they were doing a, quote, great job and did not see any need to change what has been done.